we are talking about physical injuries of the tooth surface. We are starting off with bruxism. Bruxism, I'll just repeat the definition around once more. It's nothing but the habitual grinding or clenching of the tooth surface. Basically, what happens is you grind the tooth surface either during the morning or in the night. Okay, so this what happens is this causes problem to the teeth and the supporting periodontium. You can see here that when there is grinding, there is flattening of the tooth surface because of the direct force on the tooth surface, right? Uh, See that the tooth surface is brown. So this can be very extensive also. Sometimes it may involve only the enamel, sometimes the dentin, sometimes it can also involve the pulp. It can go very deep as well. So by default, when it affects the tooth, when it's going to affect the tooth surface, eventually it will soon affect the periodontium as well. Okay, it will also affect here. It can also affect the periodontium, underlying periodontium, and sometimes also the supporting tooth structure, the jaw muscles as well, which we'll be discussing. First, it will affect here, and then the tooth surface, and then here. Okay. The cause for it will be many. There are a lot of causes. We'll discuss all that as well. Uh, Okay, like I said, there are two types basically. That is, during the day it is called diurnal, and during the night when the habit is there, it's called as nocturnal. So basically, during the during the day, it's called awake bruxism. Mostly, it might be due to emotions, anger, stress, frustration. Sometimes even you might not be aware that you're biting too hard on the tooth surface. When you're angry, you eventually do that, right? So that is a very common thing that is done to cope up the pressure, or sometimes when you're in deep, it is a habitual thing that you might not even realize that you're actually doing it. So that is a problem. So this eventually becomes a habit. When you do it for a long time, it becomes a habit. Sometimes this is even common with people like indoor workers like carpenters and all. Right, sleep bruxism, you're not aware of it. You're in deep sleep. You're not most likely aware of it, and it is said to be happening in certain stages of the sleep. Right. So in sleep bruxism, the problem is you're not aware, but the person sleeping next to you is very much aware of it because of the sound that you're creating. Okay, and this eventually causes jaw pain in the morning. That is a very common thing. One of the symptoms that you ask is if patients will have pain on the jaw muscles in the morning. Okay, there are local causes. So what causes the bruxism, this habit? Most often it is stress psychologically induced, among children and those who are undertaking exams. Sometimes they come with the problem of TMJ pain or jaw pain. And when you ask them, they'll be either during their exam times, 12 board exams, or during their exam time. So stress is one of the main reasons that happens. Eventually, you need to treat the stress as well. You don't just give treatment for bruxism, but you have to treat other things as well. And other common things would be locally, when you see on the tooth surface, it will be occlusal disturbances, which means, for example, there is an occlusal disturbance and irregularity on one tooth surface. By default, our tooth structures, our oral cavities, what happens is it tends to adjust itself and it tries to overcompensate. So what happens when one area it is not normal, the other area it tends to get in contact. So that eventually causes unnecessary contact, and that will create more grinding of the tooth surface. So eventually it leads to generalized grinding, and then again other causes will happen. This is again common in young children, and when there is transition between the primary to the permanent dentition, since because the tooth sizes will be different, and so when there is a difficulty, the chewing habit itself will change because of the occlusal morphology. Other systemic causes are there like gastrointestinal, nutritional deficiencies, allergic and endocrine and hereditary disturbances. Again, other systemic, they are only the cause. When you don't treat the cause, the drugs treating locally only with the tooth surface will not give any help to the patient. Okay. Other occupational, like I already mentioned, most often occupational types will be voluntary. They are aware, they are aware that they are doing it, and it would have over a long period of time would have been habitual. They'll be biting too hard on the tooth surface. They'll be grinding carpenters. Sometimes even if you notice, carpenters and watchmakers and all, this is a very common thing, which is mainly because of the habit. Okay. Next is okay. This is already we've discussed a bit. Psychology, these are majorly happening with people who are not able to express their pressure. Sometimes when you deal with the situation, then it doesn't turn into a habit like bruxism. And like I said about in terms of voluntary bruxism, when it becomes habitual, when chewing tobacco, chewing gums and toothpicks. For example, if you've there might be carpenters who work with some objects in their mouth. They'll keep the pencils and all when they are working. Okay, and when this happens for a longer time, sometimes when during their work they're under some pressure to work. When this happens for a longer time, it eventually turns into an involuntary or subconscious. They are not more aware, and it becomes an habitual thing for them. Okay. So what are the risk factors? Risk, it is like I mentioned earlier, it is a very common thing. Age, it is again common in a lesser age group, maybe in teenagers, rather than adults. At least adults, they will be able to cope up with the pressure. The problem, like I said, during exam times, younger individuals get more affected. Okay. So because of which they tend to get more than when during that time the problem is you won't see a greater amount of food grinding happening there. But what happens is they will have jaw pain. No, that is a common finding which you will see. Okay. Personality type is also like people who are not able to cope up with pressure, who are very silent and all those things. They don't have a place to express, and eventually it becomes a psychological effect. So there are other medications also which causes such thing, antidepressants and other caffeinated beverages, and this can be genetic as well. Okay, that is one thing. And most often, as it is genetic, and your family members will be the one who will identify that you have drug system. They will point out that you're biting and you're and during your sleep. Other disorders are also there: Parkinson's, dementia, anxiety, epilepsy, night terrors. Epilepsy, again, seizures, right? So many other sleep disorders. End of the day, most often all these systemic will be indirectly or directly related to stress as well. Okay, clinical features like this will be like one order, like how it happens. Eventually, you start clenching, like you saw already. There will be flattening of the tooth surface. Sometimes, if there is problem only on one or two surfaces, then what happens will be only chipping or small fractures. Okay, then what happens? The enamel is gone. Then when you go deeper, the dentin is also affected. When you go into the dentin and it turns down into sensitivity, right? So when you go even more deeper, when you go like closer to the pulp, it might cause pain. So this is one thing. So what happens? This is going to create a problem to the surrounding structures. Immediately, it will be the periodontium. On long term, there will be periodontal problems as well. Sometimes periodontal problems will be the mobility can also be there. Apart from that, your tooth structure and the oral cavity is supported by your jaw muscles. Okay, when you are biting, which means your jaw muscles is also working. Your masseter is also majorly working. They are doing a lot of work. Imagine when you're running for a longer time. Eventually when you take rest during the when you're running in the evening and you're taking rest in the night, your your leg muscles, your calf muscles will be paining. So here what happens is your grinding and clenching is taking place for a really long time during the night time, and just jaw pain is only observed only during the morning. Okay, that is the most common thing, and again it will be radiated. And don't think just because you are biting on the tooth surface, the effect will be only on the tooth surface or the periodontium. It actually radiates to the neck as well. A very common problem would be associated with bruxism will be TMJ disorder, TMJ, and when there is TMJ involved, sometimes there will be problem with your cervical spine as well, and which eventually will create problem. Whichever muscles are getting attached to those surfaces, there will be problem. Okay, and again, since all these muscles are involved, you will have the dull headache as well. So damage from chewing, this is intraorally you can see, and sleep disruption obviously because of the this thing. Okay, these are the like whatever findings that we saw will be classified under this under the dentition on what happens on the tooth surface, then on the periodontium, then it goes to the masticatory muscles, then you will have TMJ issues, and then headache, mainly headache and jaw problem, like headache and any other muscles that are related to it. in the neck muscles as well, or in the temple. Okay. So, and then all these things will also see these problems can create psychological and behavior problems. That is one way of happening. Or when you are stressed out, when there is a psychological problem, even bruxism can happen. Okay? It can happen in two ways. So this is just these are the common things that you will observe. When a patient comes to you, you will observe definitely observe these things. There will be severe attrition and gum recession will also be there, and sometimes abstraction will also be there. Okay, this is the difference. Obviously, the tooth size will be different. Okay, these are the clinical photos. Sometimes you will have only small chipped areas. It is also possible, and there will be some. Most often, what you will see is you will see a generalized attrition. Okay, like here you see there is the attrition is very generalized. You can see that the effect will be there on the all tooth surface. Whereas here it seems to be only in very few areas, localized areas. And if you notice here, the localized reason is you will see that the opposing tooth, certain areas, the opposing tooth structure will be only hitting on those areas. Okay, for a very, very long period of time. That will be localized. Okay. Here you see this is a very, very severe case of bruxism where only almost maybe the tooth is even fractured or only it is actually a complete attrition is there. There is nothing. What you can observe is, in general, if you see, there will be a loss of the vertical dimension. Okay, it simply is not easy for the patient for to eat, and there will be loss of vertical dimension as well. As in mouth opening, when you see, and that's complete. For example, if there is a complete tooth structure is here, the entire dimension will be different, or the jaws will be different. Okay, so these are the very common clinical findings that you will see, whatever we discussed. Like I said, first it affects the tooth surface, then definitely the effects, they are supported by the PDL. Whatever whatever the force that is directed on the tooth surface will be directed into the periodontium. Like any kind of pressure that is directed here on the tooth surface will definitely be directed on the periodontium. It will have an effect here. Sometimes what happens is there is a reparative process that goes and the tooth surface will be adapted to it. Some very sometimes there will be ankylosis as well, or the tooth itself can become weak. Even the PDL periodontium will become weak, and you will have soreness of the tooth and maybe even mobility. These are the common findings related to this thing. Next, like I said, when there is a problem with the tooth surface, like there is a problem with the tooth surface, there is complete attrition or abrasion taking place. This will first have an effect on the jaw muscles, the side jaw muscles here. Okay, so jaw immediate effect will be on the jaw muscles, and there is problem here. Since this is also supported by your temporalis and other muscles, there will be a radiating type of pain here. Okay, when this happens, then there is like imagine your TMJ is like a door hinge. When you keep something in between the doors, what happens? The hinge will again starting to it will start to rock. So here your TMJ is like the hinge. So when all these problems take place, and there is a occlusal problem in the jaw in here, eventually it will cause the TMJ problem. Whenever this is happening, sometimes you have the see this like everything is interconnected, interrelated actually. You have the spine here. Okay, this is like an equilibrium that you have with your spine, your bones, TMJ, and the muscles. When there is a problem here, it will definitely create a problem here as well. The muscles here also will be into problem. And like I already said, sometimes the pain can not, it won't just go from TMJ muscles to neck muscles. The problem can also go from here. When there is a cervical problem, there can be indirectly TMJ problems can also be there. Okay, it can happen both ways. So these are the very, very common findings. And this is something that I already mentioned. Masseter muscle pain will be tooth trigger. And what happens is when patients come like this, the typical, even if there is no bruxism or when you don't see too much of wearing off of the tooth surface, when you palpate the muscle, just along intraorally and extra, you keep your thumb on the extraoral surface and your forefinger intraorally. If you palpate the muscle, they will definitely have pain on when you're normally palpating the muscle itself. Okay, these are the common findings. I think we've explained it. And treatment, anyone knows any treatment for bruxism? It is already there. You've heard about it. Anyone has any experience of having bruxism? Most of the students have it actually. Anybody here?
Yes, sir, I have.
You have. So what treatment did you do? Did you do any treatment?
No, so not so serious. Like while sitting, I might just do it. Not so regularly.
Okay. If you, like I said, the basic thing would be to treat the underlying cause. Sometimes we all of us do, but in terms of when we're stressed out, but it should not become a habit. It should not become a coping mechanism. Whatever we do to the as treatment to the intraorally, we can give hard splint or soft splint as well. TMJ, when TMJ issues are related, they give soft hard splint as well. Okay, but that is not enough. What a soft splint will do is it's like a cushioning effect given by your slippers. When you walk, you don't feel anything, right? So when there is a splint that you can wear during the night, the pressure does not go onto the tooth surface. The grinding is avoided. And what happens there, it is like a cushioning effect between the upper and the lower arch. So eventually what happens, your TMJ is also safe. There is not too much of pressure to the TMJ. And definitely whenever you're treating, if you identify that sometimes it will be voluntary, okay, you can do any other treatment for that. But when it is not a voluntary, I mean like when it's involved with some psychological problem, it is definitely important to treat the psychological issue. So Botox, you've heard of using Botox and Botox fillers in muscle disorders. What happens here is they will loosen the muscles. So when I say pain, when you have muscle pain, the muscles will become contracted. They're very sore. You will feel, well, like I said, when you're running, you will feel tightness of the muscle. When you're dehydrated, your muscles will be very sore and it will be contracted. So you have to loosen it. So with Botox fillers, the muscles, with the help of fillers, you don't have to fill the surface. That's different. The action, what it does here is it will help to loosen the muscle, and the muscle contraction will be definitely lesser, and eventually you will slowly get relieved of this thing, muscle pain. So this is about bruxism. And in terms of otherwise treatment, there is obvious problem with the tooth surface, right? Some small problems can be obviously corrected. Minor chips and cracks can be corrected using composite restorations, veneers, and all. And when it goes for larger things, this will be done like a full mouth rehabilitation. You cannot simply fill. For example, when a patient comes to you with entire abrasion, and if he has problem in one or two teeth, if you treat one teeth, it's not enough. You give crown and two teeth in the posterior, it is certainly not enough. It will create more problem for him later. If you treat only these two teeth, it's not going to be of any use at all. What happens then if you will increase the bite here and the other side, it will start creating problems. So when a treatment has to be done, it has to be done the entire segment, upper and lower. That will create a harmony back. We have to establish the vertical height again, and then only we will have to do this. So when you do this, if the patient is still a habitual grinder, bruxism habit is there, what happens? If he can grind the tooth surface, obviously he can grind the ceramic or this thing as well. There will be chipping of the ceramic as well. So what we have to do is, it is always important to treat the underlying cause. Okay, simply you can do whatever you want with the prosthetic part, but a splint is always essential, a soft splint. After doing all this, if you leave him again, he will start grinding again if the habit is still present. So ideally, you can give a splint also, and if any other psychological issues are there, that also we have to treat. Locally, we can do all these things. Psychological, certain things we can do. You can give muscle relaxants, all those things we can do. When it's too much of psychological issues involved, we cannot be treating them. Okay, any doubt?